Speaking of weakness, speaking of this rampant weakness, two Greens councillors and a Residents First councillor with the Woollahra Council in Sydney's east, which is home to a large Jewish population, walked out on a vote condemning Hamas. Liberal councillor Mary-Lou Jarvis joins me now with the details. Thanks for joining us, Mary-Lou. Tell us about this motion and what occurred in the council chambers. Was this today or last night?
Chris, this was last night. It was actually, ironically, at the very time that people were leaving to march from Sydney Town Hall down to the Opera House, where, as we know, the Israeli flag was displayed. We obviously didn't know any of that until after the meeting. So our newly elected Mayor, Richard Shields, had, at the start of a meeting, a mayoral minute condemning the unprecedented attack by Hamas on the Israeli people. We had passed that, or we'd all spoken to that, seconded it, and there were several people were missing from the council. Later, at the end of the meeting, Richard realised that we actually hadn't put it to a vote, so he put it to a vote. So this is sort of 3 hours after the meeting started, and to our surprise, 3 councillors got up and left the room. However, we were unanimous. All the people that were in the room voted to, as I say, condemn the unprecedented attack and offer our support to all the Jewish people in our community, of which there's many, Chris. We have a community that's strongly linked. These are our family and our friends, and regrettably, a lot of our family and friends here have family and friends in Israel that have been subjected to these horrific attacks in a democratic country. Imagine if that sort of thing happened to us here in Australia. And obviously our hearts go out to all those people that are affected.
Indeed. Now, Mary-Lou Jarvis, this motion was condemning the terrorist atrocities and supporting the people of Israel through this terrible time. There's nothing political about that in terms of where you stand on the Palestinian issue in Israel. Why do you think? Have you had any explanation as to why these Greens councillors walked out? I mean, how could any human being not support such a motion?
Oh, well, Chris, you'd have to ask them that. I can't speak for them. All I can speak for is the people that are in the room that said, and it wasn't just for the people of Israel, it's the people in our community, as I say, our family and friends who have been impacted and been having to deal with this extraordinary worry, these horrific attacks, and how it impacts on their family and friends in Israel. I mean, for example, the mayor's nephew is in Israel at the moment, as a lot of these young boys do, and girls, as their rite of passage. They go on their gap year and they go to a kibbutz. Yeah. And the tragedy, of course, of those videos that we've seen, young people dancing and all of a sudden running for their lives. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. It
is heartbreaking, and it just destroys our sense of humanity. We just had a picture of those 3 councillors up on screen. I just wanted, you're very clear in your mind, there have been media reports suggesting this, of course, but you're very clear in your mind that they got up and left the room because they did not want to vote in support of this motion?
Well, all I can say, Chris, is they certainly got up and left the room. I'd let everybody draw their own conclusions as to... They were not there for the vote, I think that's fair to say. I was sitting next to several of them, and, yeah, they didn't vote.
Yeah, talk about weakness.
As I say, we took a strong position in the council.
Yeah, well done, Mary-Lou Jarvis.
As I say, we were wanting to support our community.
Yeah, well done. No doubt that'll be appreciated in the community, but those councillors need to be held to account for that weakness and that lack of humanity. Thanks for joining us, Mary-Lou. I appreciate it. Mary-Lou Jarvis there, who's a Liberal councillor on the Woollahra Council in Sydney's east.